Saving money on a low budget is not about cutting life down to the bare minimum, skipping essential needs, or constantly feeling guilty about spending, but about understanding how limited income creates pressure, how pressure leads to emotional and reactive decisions, and how building simple, protective systems allows money to stretch further while maintaining dignity, stability, and a sense of control even when income feels tight. Number 10. Accept the reality of a low budget without self-blame. Many people on a low budget believe their situation is the result of personal failure rather than circumstances, which creates shame and emotional stress around money. This emotional weight often leads to avoidance, where finances are ignored instead of managed. Avoidance makes saving feel impossible before it even begins. Accepting the reality of a low budget without judgment allows clearer thinking and calmer decisions. Clarity replaces panic with problem solving. Problem solving opens the door to small but meaningful changes. Saving becomes possible when emotions no longer control the process. Number 9. Focus on stability before focusing on growth. When living on a low budget, instability causes more damage than slow progress, because even a single unexpected expense can undo weeks of careful effort. Many people try to save aggressively without first ensuring their essential expenses are stable, which creates constant fear around money. This fear makes every decision feel urgent and stressful, increasing the likelihood of emotional spending or avoidance. Focusing on stability means making sure rent, utilities, food, and transportation are predictable and manageable before worrying about growing savings quickly. Predictability reduces mental pressure and allows clearer thinking. Clear thinking leads to better prioritization. Better prioritization protects limited resources from being wasted. When stability is present, even small savings are more likely to survive rather than disappear at the first inconvenience. Number 8. Save small amounts consistently instead of waiting for extra money. On a low budget, extra money rarely appears naturally at the end of the month. Waiting to save only when there is surplus often means saving never begins. Saving small amounts consistently creates a habit that does not depend on perfect conditions. This approach removes pressure and makes saving feel manageable instead of intimidating. Consistency trains the brain to treat saving as a normal part of life rather than a special event. Over time, the habit becomes automatic. Automatic behavior reduces emotional resistance. Even modest savings accumulate when repetition is steady and uninterrupted. Number 7. Reduce financial leaks before cutting essential spending. On a low budget, cutting essential expenses too early often creates emotional pressure that makes saving feel painful rather than empowering. This pressure usually leads to resentment, where saving starts to feel like punishment instead of progress. When resentment builds, people tend to overspend later as a way to emotionally recover from restriction. Financial leaks are usually not obvious luxuries, but small recurring expenses that feel justified because they appear minor or necessary in the moment. Subscriptions, convenience purchases, delivery fees, impulse snacks, and small add-ons quietly drain limited income over time. Individually, these expenses rarely feel serious, which is why they are easy to ignore. When combined across weeks and months, they often equal the amount people believe they are unable to save. Fixing leaks improves efficiency without reducing comfort or dignity. Efficiency matters far more than sacrifice when money is already tight. Number 6. Limit spending frequency instead of eliminating enjoyment. Removing all enjoyment from life on a low budget often leads to burnout, frustration, and emotional fatigue. When enjoyment disappears completely, spending later becomes impulsive and excessive as a form of compensation. Reducing how often money is spent is usually more sustainable than cutting enjoyment entirely. Each spending moment creates exposure to temptation, emotional triggers, and marketing designed to encourage unnecessary purchases. Fewer spending moments mean fewer chances to make decisions that drain limited income. This approach lowers expenses quietly, without constant self-control or discipline. Enjoyment remains present, but it becomes intentional rather than habitual. Intentional enjoyment feels more satisfying and less wasteful. Balance prevents resentment and supports long-term saving behavior. Number 5. Separate survival money from flexible money. On a low budget, Treating all money as one pool makes it difficult to prioritize correctly. When boundaries are unclear, spending decisions become emotional rather than intentional. Separating survival money for rent, food, utilities, and transport from flexible money creates structure. This structure removes confusion and reduces guilt during everyday spending. Clear separation helps the brain understand which money is protected and which money has flexibility. Without separation, small optional expenses can quietly threaten essential needs. On a low budget, even minor misallocation has a larger impact. Structure reduces the need for constant self-control. Clear boundaries protect progress automatically. Number 4. Build a small emergency buffer as early as possible. Unexpected expenses are especially dangerous on a low budget because there is very little margin for error. Without an emergency buffer, even small problems such as medical costs, repairs, or delayed income can cause financial panic. Panic leads to rushed decisions that often increase long-term damage. A small emergency fund absorbs these shocks before they escalate. This buffer provides emotional security as much as financial protection. When stress is reduced, decision-making improves. Improved decisions prevent debt, missed bills, and setbacks. Even a modest emergency buffer creates stability that keeps progress intact. Stability allows saving habits to survive real-life disruptions. Number 3. Avoid comparing your progress to higher income situations. When saving money on a low budget, comparison becomes one of the most damaging habits because it distorts what progress should realistically look like. Many examples online show saving strategies designed for people with higher incomes, more flexibility, and fewer constraints, which creates unrealistic expectations for someone working with limited resources. These comparisons quietly suggest that slow progress is failure, even when it is actually the correct pace for the situation. This belief increases frustration and self-doubt, making saving feel pointless or discouraging. Frustration weakens consistency, which is the most important factor when income is limited. Comparing progress only to your own past creates realistic benchmarks that reflect your actual circumstances. Realistic benchmarks build confidence rather than pressure. Confidence supports patience during slow periods. Progress that fits your reality is far more likely to last than progress forced by comparison. Number 2. Make saving inconvenient to access. On the low budget, every withdrawal from savings has a larger emotional and practical impact, which makes impulse access especially risky. When savings are easy to reach, emotional moments such as stress, urgency, fatigue, or boredom can quickly turn into financial decisions. Separating savings into a different account introduces friction between impulse and action. This friction slows decisions just enough for rational thinking to return. Rational thinking allows you to reconsider whether the expense is truly necessary or simply emotionally convenient. This pause protects savings from being drained by short-term feelings. Protected savings last longer and feel more secure. On the low budget, security matters more than rapid growth. Protection allows saving habits to survive emotional pressure. Number 1. Redefine success as consistency, not amount. Many people believe saving only matters if the amount feels impressive, visible, or socially comparable. This belief discourages low-budget savers from starting because their contributions feel too small to matter. In reality, consistency matters far more than size when income is limited. Small, repeated actions build discipline without creating pressure or fear. Discipline reduces anxiety around money decisions. Reduced anxiety improves follow-through during difficult months. Over time, consistent behavior creates stability, even when amounts remain modest. Stability is the true measure of success on a low budget. When stability improves, growth becomes possible later. Bonus tip: track emotional pressure, not just spending. On a low budget, emotional pressure often plays a larger role in spending decisions than logic or planning. Many purchases occur during moments of stress, exhaustion, boredom, or feeling overwhelmed, rather than genuine need. Tracking when spending feels emotionally charged reveals patterns that numbers alone cannot explain. These patterns often show that spending is being used to cope rather than to solve a real problem. Recognizing this removes self-blame and shame. Reduced shame improves honesty with yourself about money habits. Honest awareness creates space for better decisions. Over time, understanding emotional pressure reduces impulsive spending naturally. Awareness becomes a quiet but powerful form of control. If you are trying to save money on a low budget, choose one habit from this video and focus on practicing it consistently instead of trying to change everything at once. Comment which step you are starting with this week. Subscribe for realistic and pressure-free money guidance, and thank you for watching. See you next time.